Visualize the setting: a biting, pulse-pounding Tuesday evening deep within the heart of Manhattan. It was an evening when the blinding glow of Times Square melted across rain-slicked concrete, and the atmosphere throbbed with that signature, unyielding vibrancy unique to the city that never sleeps. Countless souls wandered the avenues, every single one bearing a hidden past, secret ambitions, and silent wars. Yet on the 3rd of March, a pair of fiercely contrasting universes prepared to crash into one another in a spectacularly unforeseen fashion. This narrative weaves together monumental victory, sudden enchantment, and the absolute thrill of finding resonance among strangers. That evening marked the precise moment the frozen arena embraced the theatrical spotlight. Recognizing the immense weight of this encounter requires leaving behind the chaotic metropolis and voyaging across the world toward the glaring, frosty expanses of Italian skating venues. Envision the crushing expectations of waiting at the perimeter of the Winter Games' ultimate battleground at merely 20 years of age. Billions of gazes lock onto a solitary figure, amplifying every gasp for air into a deafening roar. Each subtle gesture faced ruthless dissection by scoring panels and endless living room spectators. Such was the agonizing daily truth for the young skater. Her whole existence had built up to this solitary crescendo, involving grueling alarms sounding well before dawn broke. It meant enduring the bone-chilling atmosphere of the training facilities, absorbing endless physical trauma, and chasing an impossible standard of flawlessness without surrender. Achieving the highest tier of global athletic supremacy never happens by accident. It demands literal blood and the complete surrender of one's youth. The young phenom executed precisely that sacrifice, shattering expectations and driving her physical and mental faculties past unimaginable boundaries to capture 2 stunning first-place victories for her nation. She emerged as the absolute master of the globe. Reaching the absolute summit of her discipline, she listened to the soaring chords of the national anthem while immense metallic discs pressed heavily against her collarbone. Securing eternal immortality in the annals of athletic greatness, she faced a daunting question. What remains after conquering a lifelong ambition at 20 years of age? Once the deafening cheers evaporate and the neurochemical rush dissipates, how does a reigning conqueror find her footing back among mere mortals? Her solution lay in abandoning the unforgiving, icy crucible of mortal combat for the plush, crimson-cushioned sanctuary of the performing arts. Destiny guided her footsteps into the heart of the concrete jungle, a metropolis that crowns the fearless, where she craved an entirely unprecedented adventure, having possessed almost zero prior familiarity with the illustrious theater district. Though a traveling performance of a beloved animated classic had crossed her path in the past, the raw, pulse-racing phenomenon of witnessing a production inside an ancient, legendary venue remained utterly alien territory. Previously known as a fierce combatant of frozen arenas and razor-sharp blades, she transformed that evening into an anonymous spectator, eagerly awaiting amusement. Navigating toward the hallowed halls of the Lyceum Theater, she entered a space far grander than a simple auditorium. It stood as a sacred temple of domestic artistry. Deeply saturated with 121 years of profound legacy, it had watched countless luminaries ascend to glory and tumble into obscurity. Yet absolutely zero historical events could have fortified the resident phantoms against the societal cyclone masquerading as a stage production. The phenomenon known as "Oh Mary" proved to be miles away from a traditional dusty period piece. Operating as a grim, warped, and uproariously disrespectful farce, the masterpiece seized the performance industry by the jugular, tightening its grip relentlessly. Delving into this monumental sensation is vital, as grasping the evening's enchantment requires comprehending the absolute genius behind the script. Forged by an unparalleled visionary who justly claimed Broadway's highest honor for their reality-warping craftsmanship, the narrative viciously reconstructed the final days of the First Lady just prior to the fatal shooting of the 16th American president. While the concept initially reads as a devastating chronicle of grief, the brilliant mastermind inverted every expectation, flooding the timeline with brazen, anarchic, and ceaselessly amusing macabre humor. The spectacle utterly shattered all conventional genre boundaries, fusing period-era conflict with eccentric, outlandish comedy, and enveloping it inside a deeply affecting emotional core. The production sparked an insatiable public frenzy. Over its century-spanning lifetime, the venue had never generated over $1 million across a 7-day span. Yet this juggernaut obliterated that ceiling, subsequently besting its own milestone 12 separate times. The sensation emerged as the inaugural theatrical run of the cycle to fully recover its staggering financial backing. Operating as an unstoppable locomotive of triumph, it provided the exact backdrop for the retired athlete's pivotal Tuesday excursion. Enveloped by shadows and flanked by multitudes of unknown faces, the decorated conqueror experienced an unprecedented sensation. After an eternity in the crosshairs, she finally relinquished the role of the spectacle. Liberated from the microscopic scrutiny of her every twitch, true freedom washed over her. The moment the velvet lifted and the on-stage anarchy ignited, utter fascination gripped the former champion. The crushing gravity of monumental athletic glory evaporated into the ether, swapped instantly for the wild, untamed elation of theatrical escapism, leaving her gasping for breath as the stellar ensemble fired off explosive comedic strikes one after another. It delivered profound catharsis, proving to be an absolute epiphany. She watched as virtuosos of an entirely unfamiliar art form bled their passion onto the stage, an experience that resonated within her soul in ways she had never seen coming. Yet the sheer genius of "Oh, Mary" did not solely depend on the shoulders of its lead. The production featured an absolute juggernaut of a cast, including a visage instantly recognized by millions across the globe. Enter Simu Liu. Anyone with even a passing knowledge of modern cinema knows his name. This was the actor who originally stole hearts in the cherished television comedy Kim's Convenience, long before he donned a superhero suit to conquer the screen in Marvel's Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. He had even gone head-to-head with cinematic royalty in Greta Gerwig's colossal, culture-defining masterpiece. Through Barbie, the man proved himself as an undeniable global superstar, boasting a meteoric rise that countless performers would happily trade their souls to achieve. Nevertheless, beyond the multi-million-dollar extravaganzas, the flash of red carpet cameras, and the worldwide adoration, he held onto a fierce, unspoken ambition. He yearned to conquer Broadway. He craved that visceral, terrifying rush of delivering a live performance without a safety net, fully aware that there were zero opportunities for a second take. The moment he laid eyes on "Oh, Mary," his instincts screamed that this was his golden ticket. This play would serve as the ultimate vessel for his grand theatrical debut. He had joined the company merely a month earlier to portray Mary Todd Lincoln's instructor. Thus, an enormous cinematic icon found himself willingly fading into the collaborative fold of an ensemble, offering his distinctively magnetic energy to the live audience night after night. His star power undeniably elevated the entire production, pulling in a legion of devoted followers who might never have otherwise crossed the threshold of a traditional playhouse. On this particular Tuesday evening, he stood under those blinding stage lights, blissfully ignorant that a veritable Olympic icon lurked in the darkened auditorium, scrutinizing his every motion. As the final curtain descended and the room exploded into an ear-shattering standing ovation, Alysa Liu rose alongside the roaring crowd, her palms burning fiercely from the sheer force of her applause. For the average spectator, the magic concludes at this exact moment. They retrieve their coats, shuffle through the heavy brass exits, hail a yellow taxi, and head home clutching nothing but a fond memory. However, when navigating the world as a two-time Olympic gold medalist, reality operates under a slightly different set of rules. Fully aware of the royal presence in their seats, the theater's management promptly ushered her behind the scenes. This pivotal instant transformed a simple celebrity cameo into one of the most profoundly touching and genuinely human narratives of the entire year. Venturing behind the curtains of a Broadway stage feels remarkably akin to infiltrating a hidden, magical realm. The air hangs heavy with the distinct aromas of aging timber, stiffening hairspray, and raw, pulsing adrenaline. Claustrophobic corridors overflow with discarded wardrobes, elaborate props, and utterly drained performers slowly descending from a 2-hour theatrical high. Stepping into that chaotic sanctuary, the champion carried absolutely zero arrogance. She refused to strut through the halls, demanding a fabricated photo op just to feed her social media algorithms before vanishing. Instead, she drifted in with the pure, wide-eyed astonishment of a dedicated admirer. The performers, who were still desperately trying to catch their breath from the intense finale, pivoted to find this 20-year-old titan of American athletics standing squarely in their sacred domain, sparking an absolutely instantaneous bond. Eyewitnesses later swore that the athlete's radiant warmth was nothing short of blinding. Her spirit was overwhelmingly contagious. She engaged with the troupe not as a sports star indulging actors, but as a fellow artist, honoring her peers. She passionately described how thoroughly they had made her roar with laughter, how the performance had held her absolutely spellbound, and how she had never witnessed anything quite like it in her entire existence. Sources at People magazine subsequently revealed that the entire company was hopelessly enchanted by her presence. They universally hailed her as the single most delightful individual they had ever encountered. The gold hardware around her neck vanished in their eyes. They only saw the beautiful human being beneath it. The cast utterly fell for her dynamic, undeniable zest for life. She lingered in the wings for an eternity, refusing to rush the magic. She happily snapped photographs, shared boisterous laughs, and truly listened to their stories. She grounded herself completely in an experience that would permanently etch itself into all their memories. Yet destiny always harbors a brilliantly mischievous method for arranging miracles. Another colossal, completely unexpected revelation still lurked in the shadows of that historic evening. While the champion mingled joyfully among the actors and exchanged pleasantries with the movie star, she was introduced to a woman by the name of Alison Shu. This brilliant woman happened to be his fiancée, serving as a high-powered digital marketing executive for the music juggernaut Interscope Records. However, her impressive corporate title was entirely irrelevant to the magic about to unfold. The crucial detail, the jaw-dropping twist that no Hollywood screenwriter could ever have concocted, was that prior to conquering the music business, this executive had been a fierce competitive figure skater. In fact, she had fiercely carved up the ice representing the University of California, Los Angeles. Try to fathom the astronomical odds of such an encounter. Buried deep within the cramped, frenetic backstage arteries of a Manhattan playhouse, a freshly crowned two-time Olympic gold medalist somehow crossed paths with a former warrior of the competitive ice. The sheer shock gave way to instant recognition, cementing a profound, unspoken mutual understanding of a brutally demanding yet stunningly gorgeous world. The atmosphere must have practically ignited with electricity right then and there. The entire trajectory of their dialogue instantly pivoted. Standard, polite dressing room banter instantly evaporated, immediately usurped by a rapid-fire, wildly passionate exchange about terrifying edge jumps and dizzying spin rotations. They enthusiastically traded war stories regarding agonizingly early morning practice sessions and the unforgiving reality of tightly laced blades. It was an elite, secret dialect, one perfectly understood only by warriors who had literally bled upon the freezing ice. An immediate, blazing connection sparked between them. Long before the evening concluded, the pair had already swapped contacts, feverishly plotting a relaxed rendezvous on the frozen arena, a visual that simply demands a moment of profound appreciation. Picture it. The sovereign monarch of winter athletics and a prominent audio industry luminary, drawn into each other's orbits by a twisted stage play about a historical first lady, mapping out a blossoming camaraderie over frozen water. Meanwhile, what exactly was the famed superhero actor up to while his future bride and this decorated athlete forged bonds over their mutual icy pasts? Did the hulking cinematic icon just retreat to the shadows, allowing the ladies to bask in their exclusive spotlight? Far from it, as the man renowned for his explosive, irrepressible spirit chose to leap headfirst into this spontaneous winter sports euphoria. Planted right in the epicenter of that crowded behind-the-scenes corridor, still vibrating with the electric adrenaline of his theatrical gig, the actor started throwing phantom aerial leaps. He twirled violently down the cramped walkways, launching his limbs into fiercely exaggerated postures, desperately trying to emulate the regal grace of the women flanking him. Yet his dedication did not conclude there, for the performer dove so deeply into the gag that when the final bows arrived under the glaring stage lights, before a screaming crowd, he launched into an ambitious mid-air double rotation, crashing down onto a single knee to deliver a picture-perfect, theatrically exaggerated skater's finale. It served as a gloriously ridiculous, breathtaking homage both to the gold medalist watching from the seats and to the former competitor holding his heart a spectacular, rapturous display of sheer madness. That exact spectacle perfectly captured the intoxicating, raw magic of live performance and genuine human chemistry. Long before she eventually exited the venue that evening, the skater dropped a revelation on the performers that utterly dissolved their emotional defenses. She confessed that their relentless dedication, the physical exertion, and the sheer hysteria they poured onto those boards had fundamentally altered her existence. She openly acknowledged that the obsessive reverence for stage acting had always eluded her, having dedicated her entire reality to staring down judging panels in freezing arenas. Yet that specific performance had completely overridden her neural pathways, leaving her entirely captivated and craving more. Her mind was already racing with future itineraries for a metropolitan comeback, desperately begging for show suggestions, starved to witness further theatrical spectacles, and chase that elusive enchantment once more, proving that in merely a few hours, the stage had claimed a fiercely devoted convert. The 20-year-old titan who had recently vanquished the global athletic arena had transformed into a fiercely proud, obsessive fanatic of the stage. In our hyper-connected era, an undocumented miracle practically begs the question of whether it truly transpired at all. Naturally, the sheer magnitude of that legendary evening demanded a digital footprint, and their execution was nothing short of masterful, discarding any rigid, corporate announcements. This display captured raw, unfiltered, youthful exuberance, with the athlete joining forces alongside the theatrical ensemble to capture a wildly unscripted, side-splitting digital clip. They synchronized their antics to the infectious, driving rhythm of a hit track by the popular artists Pink Pantheress and Zara Larsson. Clad in their messy, chaotic stage costumes and theatrical paint, the actors giggled and shimmied right beside the reigning athletic sovereign. The moment the production's official digital platform unleashed the footage into the wild, they slapped on a phrase that flawlessly bottled the evening's electrical current. The grand stages of the nation beckoned, and the champion fiercely answered the call. The digital landscape virtually detonated, sending the clip surging into an immediate inferno of viral fame. Devotees of winter sports, hardcore theater geeks, comic book enthusiasts, and everyday souls starved for genuine warmth all rushed to witness this singular spectacle. It felt like witnessing a delightfully surreal, spectacularly unscripted collision of entirely different universes. Serving as the crowning jewel upon this massive digital triumph, the leading man himself glided into the discussion thread to simply declare them an absolute pack of maniacs. That lone comment provided the exact stamp of authenticity the public craved, serving as a wildly profound, deeply necessary beacon that beyond the shiny hardware, beneath the slick Hollywood promotional material, and past the legendary marquee signs, humanity simply yearns to link souls, burst into laughter, and trade genuine fractions of bliss. Stepping backward to observe the monumental scope of that 3rd of March, the truth violently surfaces that this was never merely a casual celebrity drop-in. It stands as a roaring declaration of creativity's unmatched ability to forge unbreakable human bonds. When the celebrated icon first pushed past the heavy brass doors of that historic theater, she dragged the crushing gravity of her global triumphs right alongside her. The frozen arena had always defined her existence, trapping her identity within numerical digits, heavy hardware, and the immaculate delivery of logic-defying acrobatics. Yet swallowed by the comforting shadows of that auditorium, she was finally granted permission to exist as something entirely different. She was granted the rare privilege of simply being human, a testament to the fierce, unquestionable sorcery of a live performance, acting as the ultimate societal leveler. It acts as an arena where fiercely contrasting dimensions smash together with breathtaking brilliance, after all. In what other reality does a cinematic action idol, an award-winning master of comedy, an ex-gliding competitor turned corporate powerhouse, and a freshly minted global conqueror end up crowding a cramped passageway, howling until their lungs give out, twirling wildly, and hammering out bonds designed to outlast time itself? Such staggering phenomena elevate the production far beyond a simple box office triumph, cementing it as an undeniable pillar of modern culture. This spectacle shatters every conceivable boundary rather than merely offering simple amusement. The performance flawlessly connects the fiercely cutthroat arena of global athletics with the dazzling, emotionally charged realm of theatrical artistry. Whenever a wanderer happens to stroll down the neon-lit avenues of Times Square, or whenever conversations spark regarding the acclaimed masterpiece Oh Mary, or as spectators watch Alysa Liu drift gracefully over frozen expanses, that unforgettable Tuesday evening ought to remain etched in memory. Observers must realize that beneath the relentless drive of a champion exists a 20-year-old woman erupting in breathless, uncontrollable laughter. Audiences should recognize that, hiding beneath the toughened shell of a cinematic hero, lives a dramatic soul simply yearning to leap and twirl backstage. History will record the absolutely breathtaking coincidence of two ice performers crossing paths within the most wildly improbable location imaginable. For within a society that frequently appears hopelessly fractured and artificially choreographed, along with being dreadfully monotonous, tales of this nature serve as gorgeous, deeply moving echoes of existence's unscripted enchantment. Such moments prove to humanity that regardless of one's identity, regardless of the countless golden accolades acquired over time, or the sheer number of cinematic triumphs achieved, every single individual is merely searching for a sanctuary to share joy, forge bonds, and experience true vitality. Thus unfolds the legendary tale of Alysa Liu stepping onto the theatrical stage. A narrative weaving together two vastly distinct universes, a single monumental venue, an intensely exhilarating Tuesday twilight, alongside the dawn of a magnificent bond, declaring permanently that destiny's most spectacular miracles arrive when mortals least anticipate them.